Brookside legend Louis Emerick is heading to Coronation Street to light the fire of Liz McDonald, but while we're delighted that the Mick Johnson star is back on our screens, Liz's son Steve is less than impressed as newcomer Mike is his old school teacher. As Liz is swept off her feet by the charmer, we caught up with Louis, who promised us that Mike is as genuine as he seems while also sharing his joy at signing up for the iconic ITV soap. How do you feel about being the new love interest for Liz? How are you going to woo her? Well, as Mike Thornberry, I've got a little place over in Spain, which I know she's got a little soft spot for. So, I'm doing this old farmhouse up, so I'm hoping that might be a way to tempt her to come and stay with me for a day or two. Is there good chemistry between you and Bev? I've known Bev for nearly 30 years. We actually did an episode of Mile High back in 2003, and so it's been great. That's what's been nice about coming into this, that my character is involved with both her and Simon Gregson, who I know as well. I couldn't have wished for a better baptism, if you like. What's it like dipping back into the soap world? Have you had to hit the ground running? I think if you're coming into something like this after 58 years, it is an institution. It's quite scary. So, you do think to yourself as an actor coming in, you don't want to let anyone down. You've been here before, haven't you? 32 years ago, I delivered the new furniture after the Rovers had been burned down for the first time. I delivered the new furniture and had a lovely scene with Bill Tarmy and Roy Barraclough. It was a couple of lines, but you know, I treasured that forever. It's took me 32 years to get back. How similar or different is it to Brookside? Even from a technical point of view, it's the first time I've done anything with multi-camera and studio stuff, because at Brookside it was all single camera. But what I've found is the camaraderie amongst actors and crew. I think that's the same wherever you go. Did you always want to come back? To be honest, I never thought it would happen. I'd been up for a couple of parts before and kind of got close. One was Jason's dad Tony, but he's ended up dead, so I don't want to go that way. The other part was the one that Derek Griffiths did, so I lost out to Derek, a lovely guy to lose out to. But I've got my time now, so that's cool. Can you tell us about your character? He's Steve McDonald's ex-teacher. He's probably taught Tracy Barlow and Leanne Tilsley too. He's retired from teaching, he's just got his cab driver's license. He's got the place over in Spain that he's doing up. He needs to work. His plan is to work part-time and use his cab. He's just happened into this pub, met Mrs. McDonald as he's called her, and likes what he sees. He says that he used to give Steve an extra detention so his mum would have to come and have a word. On that day he comes in, he ends up getting a job with streetcars. So, that's fulfilling the part-time work thing, and then he's going to work on wooing Liz. Liz has got a bit of a history with men. Does he know what he's taking on? Well, she likes the bad men, doesn't she? So, maybe I won't have much of a choice. I've gotta hope I can turn the charm on. Were you apprehensive about joining another soap? I left Brookside in 2001, and for the next whatever years, I wouldn't have gone near another soap. That's the reason why I left, because I wanted to do other stuff. But 16, 17 years down the line, you get an offer like this, and I think I probably would have been ready a year or two ago anyway. You definitely needed that gap because it's very intense. I'm only coming in nice and gently, but I'm seeing some of the others. There are 4 units here, and at any one time, an actor could be stepping from one to the other and so on. So it's really intense, but it's great, the high standards of the show. Who wouldn't, if you were given the chance, want to come in and do it? Despite being in the industry for so long, did you still feel like the new boy on set? Any first day nerves? Oh, very much so. It wasn't so bad the first day, because it was just one tiny scene in streetcars with myself, Bev, C and Joe Dettine. But on Monday, as I was waiting outside to walk into the Rovers, I can't tell you how nervous I was. I was pacing up and down and I was thinking, come on, Louis, you've been doing this for just over 30 years. But they said even the likes of Ian McKellen felt the same thing. So at least it was the same with someone as great as that. But it does have that effect on you. How does Steve react to Mike going after Liz? I don't think Steve's going to like that so much. We're going to have to keep that quiet, I think. He initially isn't going to take me on with the cabs, but when I leave the office, Tim says to him, listen, you can have a bit of fun here. He was your teacher, he gave you detention. Now you can give him the OAP runs, which is what they do. It's nice and light. How does Mike compare to Jim McDonald, who was a massive character in the show? Oh, Jim McDonald's in the right place, in prison. Come on, you'd never let that man out again, would you? She's got someone with a bit of culture now, a bit of charm. Someone who's going to woo her properly. So, leave him there, throw away the key. Does he have a dark side? Not at all. Well, unless there's something going on in Spain. At this moment in time, no. He's just looking for some part-time work. He's loving doing up the Spanish old farmhouse. Now he's seen Liz, he's decided that he wants to pursue her. What are his circumstances? Is he divorced? I've seen something where his ex-wife Jill went off with half the money they were going to use for this farmhouse. Which is why he's got to work now. They were going to work together on this farmhouse, but now she's made off and done whatever with whoever. How long are you in the show for? I'm here until May, and then we'll see what happens then. I'll be hanging onto the door, saying don't throw me out. If you could bring anyone from Brookside to Corrie with you, who would it be? He's already been in. Michael Stark. We were great mates on Brookie. He's already been in and done it. Sue Johnston has done it. They beat me to it. Are you still in touch with anyone from Brookie? Any reunions? We had a proper one for the 30 years, which I think was 2012, at the Hilton Hotel, which Phil Redmond organized. That was great because everyone was there from cast and crew. Now, like a lot of people, we're in touch on social media because we're all doing whatever we're doing. Now and again, little pockets of us will get together. I was out with Michael Stark 3 or 4 months ago, just before Christmas. We got together. I live quite close to Dean Sullivan, who played Jimmy. We'll meet up now and again. Brookside was a great learning curve to be able to take on something like this. It's nice to see there's a few of us who are still busy and doing stuff. Who would you like Mike to interact with? I think he's somebody who would maybe be quite tight with Johnny. Maybe they're a similar age or whatever, and he might be a character that he'd have a beer with. But any of them really. Maybe not so much my old pupils because they're going to bring up detention and homework. He probably taught David as well. Yeah, and look how he turned out. What else have you been doing between Brookside and now? I've been touring with Full Monty off and on since 2014. It was voted best UK tour. Immediately after this, I'm doing a third series of Zapped, which was on the Dave channel. We're going for series 3, which just fits in Nice. Casualty I was in for 2 years between 2003 and 2005. Always playing people called Mike, yeah? I was Mick and Brookie, in an episode of Holby. I was Michael Denton. In Casualty I was Mike Bateman, so there's something about Mike. Are they taking the mic? I don't know. It's followed me around. After doing Full Monty, will you be getting your kid off? Inquiry? Well, it depends if Liz asks me nicely.